Balls.
Woo! I have no
Yeah.
idea if that one was better or worse than normal.
Really? Well, we ended about the same time, so it's probably I'm a little late because with the delay.
No, that could be true. So you're talking about your hair being all styled. Look, I got mine cleaned up today.
Wow.
Cal and I went and got it. Well, I was thinking I need newer headshots for my political flyers and stuff.
Probably.
And
It's
so,
a good
like,
idea.
the ones I'd been using were like super old and stuff, or I looked super grumpy. And so I'm like, I need to get one, and I want to get my hair cut first. So,
Yeah.
we'll see if that helps.
My stupid things are acting up, but I can still hear you. You can hear me?
I can hear you great. Like,
Okay, awesome.
like the voice of an angel. Voice of an angel for sure.
Nice.
Right? That's just how you want it.
Good.
So, yep. So, what's the news? How was your weekend? How was your week? Listeners have been anxiously awaiting to hear from you.
I had an awesome weekend. I think we've just been. Well, the house is all ready. It's going to be ready to go. So super excited about that, obviously, and
yeah.
that's what we've been spending a lot of time doing.
When's it gonna get listed?
It's I think officially listed Friday or Saturday. So
All right, nice.
I already had an offer, but it was like one of those silly lowball.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like you typed the wrong number here.
You forgot a zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was someone just knew what was going on, or someone who saw the sign and was just trying to throw an offer out there. Who knows?
Yeah, just taking their shot.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't hurt.
Nope, I had somebody call today about the duplex, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're calling. We talked to you about a year ago about buying it. Wondered if you were still wanting to sell it." I'm like, "Well, I didn't want to sell it a year ago." So, and they're like,
They're trying to trick you.
They're like, "Well, we were thinking about making an offer." I'm like, "I always listen to offers. I go, it's bad business practice to not listen to offers." And they're like, "Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's your asking price?" I'm like, "I don't have an asking price, which is why you have to make an offer. If I had an asking price, you would just say, yes, I want to pay that, or no, you don't."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, well, were you thinking?" And I'm like, "I haven't. Remember, I don't want to sell. You called me."
Yeah.
They're like, "Does it need any work done?" I'm like, "I'm putting a new roof on it this next week." "Oh, that's really good." "Yeah." "So why are you interested in selling?" I go, again, still not interested. They're like, "Well,"
but they're not even listening to what you're saying.
No. They're like, "Well, last year when we talked to you, you said you'd probably take 200. Is it still 200? I'm like, "I have no idea because I don't want to sell it." I go, "So you'll have to make an offer that you think would convince me to sell it."
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, well, I'll pass that all on to my manager and he'll get back with you. I'm like, "Okay, sure you will."
Yeah, he's not calling me, or she.
Right? Because they just want to lowball you.
Yeah,
So,
but you can't blame them.
no, they should for sure try. And they've been calling me for months now, and I just ignore their calls. And this time I didn't realize who it was, so I answered.
Yeah.
But I was like, it was the same last time. I'm like, I think when I did 200, I actually think it was like 2 years ago. But I was like, yeah, I'll take 200. And they're like, "It's not worth 200. And I go, right. I go, "I'm not wanting to sell it." I go, "So it works out really, really well." They go, "Well, that's
that would
actually..."
convince me to sell.
I know. They're like, "Well, that's market price." And I'm like, "Right, so I'm not trying to cheat you, am I?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, well, we're not really interested in that." I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm not either." So I go, we both win. Yay.
I'm not getting rid of something I don't want to get rid of, and you're not buying something you don't want to buy.
Right. I'm like, this all looks like wins to me. But, if they called me up and were like, "Hey, I'll give you 200 or 250, I'd probably I'd entertain that.
Yeah. Maybe I'll talk you out of it.
Right? Like, yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. You never know what I'll do, right? I'm making weird things flash on the screen totally unintentionally. I was trying to bring something else up on my other screen. I was trying to bring Zillow up, and it kept bringing up my campaign stuff on the video screen. So sorry, people who just got these subliminal campaign messages.
That's awesome.
They like flashed and disappeared. You were probably like, I think that was subliminal. It totally was.
Like, why am I writing in Ballbuster on all these open slots?
Yeah, so I made a Facebook page for my campaign, right? So
awesome.
I wasn't necessarily going to talk about it, but this is part of our entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yep.
So, I've been ramping up my campaign, ordered like road signs this week. And I felt really bad. I wanted to go with a local company. And so I called up a guy and was like, hey, I'd really like to get my yard signs from you. Can you give me a quote? And he's like, do you just want normal? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay, that'll be, if you do 50, it'll be like $12 a sign. And he goes, and if you do 100, it'll be like $10 a sign. And I'm like, that's normal? And he's like, yeah. I go, well, what's the cheaper option? Oh, well, that'd be like $8 a sign. I ordered 100 signs from a place that I knew of, like in Ohio, and it cost me $360.
That's unfortunate because you want to go local, you want the people around you, but that's you could be buying them from that. He could be buying them from that place and then charging you $8.
Yes, like
and doubling his money.
Well, he would be charging me the 10 because I got his good standard ones. So I'm like, that's actually a good business model. I thought about it while I was doing it. I'm like, because the reason I was going to go with him was his company does like all of the kids band signs and all of the kids cross country signs and all of that jazz, and we pay like $15 or $20 because it's one sign.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, is he overcharging? So then I like looked up on a few of the websites. I'm like, okay, I could literally make a business right now telling everybody I'll get them for them for $15, look like a local place, order from this company for $8 and double my money every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's doing it wrong.
I think that, yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, like instantly, like my wife, who does a lot of stuff with this band, was like, I'm going to suggest they go with somebody else now. I'm like, right. So not only did you just screw it up, like you didn't make a local sale, you just screwed it up for a huge order if they choose to go with somebody else because you're charging a lot.
Yeah.
Like you're charging more than what is. It's kind of like, I think people don't realize sometimes in their businesses that they're competing with Amazon. Right? Like if you're Lowe's or Best Buy, they're competing with Amazon. Their prices have to match Amazon. Right? That's just how
or at least as close as they can get.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how business works, and they all do now. Right? So it's all within that range. But I'm like, you have clearly not been checking out cheaper places. So
yeah. Well, that happened with Oliver needed a new bike tube, and I didn't bother to write down the numbers. I just went to a place where I thought I could like point at their bike and I need a tube like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any bikes like that. So then she's like, well, I can order something for you and it'll be here in a week. And I'm just like, I don't have the stuff. I don't know the information that I need. But it's kind of a pain because it's like, by the time I get home and look it up, I can get it the next day on Amazon I don't know what the price difference was, but I didn't feel like going back up there. And that's on me too, because I didn't have all the information I needed.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I didn't feel like going back up there, then waiting a week, and then going back up there and getting it again. So
it's interesting. Most of the time nowadays, not all the time, like I do most of our car oil changes. And most of the time I just do them on Amazon now.
Yeah.
Like a girl will be like, hey, I'm going to need my oil change soon. I'm like, boop, order. It comes. And then whenever their car's sitting there, I take 5 minutes and do it. Versus having to go to Meijer or go to AutoZone or wherever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just order it and call it good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you don't have to tip your oil change guy.
Right. Well, I've never gone to an oil change guy, so I wouldn't know. So.
Just a friend of mine on one of the polos, he was talking about that. He's like, I got my oil change today, and I asked me if I wanted to give the oil change guy a tip.
Ah,
We were talking about the ridiculousness of it.
yeah, right. That's like been going crazy. That new like tip culture thing. Like everybody sees, oh, that's an option on Square. I'm going to put it on there, and then people feel like they have to. And I'm like, all you're doing is making bad blood, right?
Yeah. Hey, it's funny because I was talking with Gina about it, and then she had noticed Oliver's principal made a comment like, "Hey, like I should probably do it before and after tip when I'm going, like talking to parents and stuff."
I think that's a great idea. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
That's a perfect idea for a principal.
By the way, that duplex, I just looked it up on Zillow. Its Zillow right now is $254,300.
Yeah.
So no wonder they're calling. No wonder they're calling me saying, "Hey, last time you said 2. Would you still be interested in 2?"
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right now I probably would not be interested in 2. I'm about to put a whole
I got it. Yeah, exactly.
Like you guys are taking way too many steps because if you had like just had your manager call and say, "Hey, will you take 2?" I probably would have been like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Like I probably wouldn't have thought about it
without the other information. What you
right?
But, probably. I mean, you might have looked it up. You may not have.
So in January was its lowest at 224.
Okay.
And then in January 2023 it was 212. So 200 was, here we go. 200 was in April 2021.
Okay.
So 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that'd be nice. I probably would sell it. Like if he called me up and said, "Will you take 250?" I'd probably take 250.
Yeah. Hey, Bean.
I don't know what I would do with that. That's the trick, listeners. And I don't know if some of you have ideas for this, or like I feel like a lot of people in my life don't deal with this a lot, right? But let's say I sold that duplex. What do you do with that money? And if you're sitting there right now as a listener going, "Oh my gosh, I would buy this or buy this or buy this," you're doing it wrong. That's not what you do.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have money burning a hole in your pocket. Kilted and I have been through that. We've had times like that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get away from the money burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah. Like what other? I mean, there's other solid investments, but you have a really good one right now. You have a duplex, which is pretty awesome. You can rent 2 sides. It's in an area where you're getting college students and things like that as well.
Yeah. And it's turning a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we've only had it like 60 years.
Yeah. I can't remember when I bought that. When did I buy that? 98, 99?
I think so, right around there. Yeah.
So yeah, I've owned it for 20-some years, 25 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I was saying tonight to my wife. I was laughing about the person calling, and I'm like, I don't have a big interest in selling because we're at the point that we've been waiting for. So for our listeners, when you're doing rentals, it's hard to make money off of rentals if you're doing it right the first 4 or 5 years. I'm not saying people don't, and there's tons of people out there who will sell you their systems on how to make money in rentals doing that and blah blah blah. I personally think that you're being shady if you are. I think the money in rentals, holy cow, I got dogs going crazy. I think the real money is in rentals is when you have inflation go up like it is right now. Because you don't owe any more on a rental. Because you either pay it off or you signed a 30-year lease or a 30-year mortgage or 15-year mortgage. So your payments were set forever. And then if inflation happens, interest rates go up, you're still at the same amount. But because the value of the dollar goes down, you have to charge more. And so you're charging more. but your payments, your outflow, except for your taxes and stuff and insurance, are still the same. So that's when they start making money.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny because I just had a not similar conversation, but on the same topic, because he's talking about there are people who are in real estate and rentals who think that they need to up the rent like crazy every year because they need to make more and more and more and more. Right. Which is, making it so people can't afford and they're leaving and then the place is empty and this and that. So, there is that, like, you can be a fair landlord, offer a good place, and still make money where it's worth it for you to do it.
Yes.
So where it's not like you're just trying to bend people over the barrel every year.
Well, and I've done it badly too. Like the 4 unit that I just got rid of recently, that place I never raised rent. So it's the same rent for 12 years, and people are like, I can't believe you didn't raise rent. And it was because I was raising it as people left, and people wouldn't leave because the rent was so cheap. And I didn't want them to leave, but then I'm like, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have had some turnover where I didn't have somebody there for 12 years. I only had people there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like that probably would have been a better idea. So, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for with that duplex. Like my rent is high enough right now where I think people will stay, a couple years, and that's good.
Yeah.
And then it's doing its job. So.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
You get a chance to go in there and kind of fix everything.
Fix everything up, call it good, and then bring in new people, right? And maybe not. Maybe those people will stay there forever, but like right now is that it will. But that's when it starts making money. So I'm like, do you really want to sell it when it's finally making money?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
We're kind of sitting back.
But I would. If they came and offered me $250, I think if somebody offered me $250, I'd probably clear $200. And then the question is what do you do with that $200? Because you're going to pay capital gains on it at that amount probably, or you're going to reinvest it in something. Yeah,
because it's just your primary residence that you can, as long as you put it back in within a year, you don't have to pay capital gains, right?
You can do it with rentals too. Here's the thing with rentals. You can do it. You've got to like upgrade, kind of.
Oh, so I have a question for you, and this just came up. I'm glad we're talking about rentals. See how this works out?
Yay,
There's always something to see in my life. Yes. So, is there a law in Michigan, because there is here in North Carolina, where if you're renting a property and say you have people that aren't paying, and how difficult it is to evict, like, right? I've heard it's a pain. I have no idea. I've heard it's a pain to evict people and get them out. In North Carolina, you only have to give a 30-day heads up that you're moving back into the property, and the people have to leave. Like if you're renting. And my buddy who was telling me about it, because I guess it came up, his girlfriend was telling him. I'm like, what? Because he was asking us if we were going to rent, and we're like, we didn't want to deal with that, and just the other things along with it.
Right.
So, and he's like, well, this is a thing. And I'm like, no way. Like, I'd never heard of that. And I'm like, I wonder if that's a rule in Michigan, too. Like, if there are similar laws like that, or if you've ever heard of that up there.
No, and I would be floored if it was that way in North Carolina, too. Right?
Yeah, you don't think that's a real thing?
So, here's the thing. It's probably real. But if it's like normal civilization, which North Carolina might not be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to just say, hey, you're evicted.
No, there's got to be a reason. I do understand that.
Right. So how do I show that reason?
Like if people aren't paying.
Okay. But how do I make everybody believe me that I have a reason?
Oh, you got to go to the court.
I got to go to court. It takes easily 30 days to get on a court docket.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Easily. And then you go to court after 30 days, and they're like, well, we've got to make sure that they have 30 days to get out.
Okay.
Right? Or the court's like, oh, they're not paying rent, but it's because you didn't clean out their drain trap, so we're going to give them 30 days to get that rent to you. And then after 30 days, you're like, oh, they didn't get the rent to me. And they're like, okay, well, then we're going to give them 30 days to move out.
Mm-hmm.
So Michigan has the 30-day rule.
Yes, okay.
But it's
So he might have misunderstood
But it's 30 days after they file the eviction order, and it takes you like 30 days to file an eviction order. So
yeah,
it's not like people talk about it being a really bad process. It's not a bad process, but it takes you, like 60 days.
Yeah.
Or what I've always done, and not always, there's been like 2 or 3 times, right? I go to people and say, do you really want an eviction on your record?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll let you leave. I'll give you 2 weeks to get out. Give me the keys. And we'll just call it good. And you can just leave.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? You would do that for me? I'd do that for you. I'll give you 2 weeks. Okay. And they could screw me. Like, some people know how to play the games, and they're like, oh, yep, sorry I couldn't. Can I have 2 more weeks? And then they get, 90 days or 180 days or whatever. But most of the time, I'm like, you need to be gone, and then I'll call them up. Okay, you've got 5 days left. When am I getting those keys? And the big thing is, once they've given you the keys, they're out, whether they're out or they're not out.
Yeah.
So once I have keys, I have possession, and then I can change all the locks and kick them out either way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, it might be that way in North Carolina. Okay. Like, I don't know how it works, but normally you have to go to court and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that takes time to go to court. But you also could have a way faster court system.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
But it was something like we were just talking about this week, and I was like, that's interesting. It didn't make me want to go get a rental property, but
no. And I've had to do a few evictions. It's not awesome, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
But I've had to. So the duplex, actually, the last tenant in the duplex was an eviction.
Oh, Lou.
That was a big pain in the butt. So
booty. So another thing that came up today, which I thought was really good, because we've been talking about, and all through the podcast, we talk a lot about the power of attraction and intuition and everything like that. And it was a short that I had heard. It just popped up. It was a Joe Rogan one, and I didn't know who the guy was. And but he was talking about Esther Hicks, who we've talked about a little bit. And Joe Rogan is like, oh yeah, doesn't she channel like some 1,000-year-old guy, and that's their thing. And we've talked about channelers before, and it was really interesting how the guy said it, and I really agree with him. Although some of the things that people say, I believe, and I can see it be possible, and some of it I'm like, well, seems out there, but I don't know. So I don't know. But anyways, he made a comment. He's like, why would I? If there's a candy bar that I really like, he's like, I think it's awesome when that people are talking, like the message they're giving is a great message. Like, be positive, focus on your positivity, always think good thoughts. He's like, but it has a wrapper that I don't like. Why would I not eat the candy bar? He's like, so I don't know. Like, he's like, I don't know. Like, he said he was introduced to her, like, he didn't know what she was doing because she speaks in we. She says we, and he just thought she meant like we as a collective want this.
Yes.
Blah blah blah. So and then he found out more, and he's like, I didn't let it turn me off because the message, he's like, and I don't know like how it works or anything like that, but he's like, but that message I thought was amazing, and I agree. So I thought that was an interesting take, because there may even be some of our listeners here who are like, well, so it could even be coming from us or coming from whoever. Like, oh, I kind of like what they're saying, but I don't like that it's coming from an alien, or that it's coming, coming from this person, or coming from people who used to murder people because they didn't believe the same thing that they believed in. So whatever that is, if it's got a great message, it's got a great message. So I just thought that was awesome, and I wanted to share that.
No, I love that, and I've got 2 things. One that you're going to think is hilarious, and one that's
hilarious,
just a reiteration. Okay. As you know, a lot of my friends are atheists. Like my mom used to be worried because I had so many atheist friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of Christian friends who think Muslims are just like the worst, right? And both groups I feel like are the same because I'm like, you're not listening to the message. Like I don't get it. Like I've had priests be like, if they discovered tomorrow that Jesus was just some guy, they're like, it wouldn't change anything because it's the message we're following.
You've said that since we were in college.
Yes.
Well, the Dan Brown book, the first Dan Brown book.
Right.
You're like, yeah, who cares?
Why would it matter? Like, why would it's the message? And like, I remember like one of the atheists going like, all these people follow this guy and blah blah. I'm like, okay, if you boil it down to like the basics for Catholicism, right? And you boil it down to the basics, there for sure was a dude who lived in that time period, who was a rebel and was crucified. Like the documentation is really clear. Mm-hmm. And they're telling you that he died because he cared for society as a whole, which we have a lot of those people out here, like MLK mm-hmm. Jr. and so on.
Mm-hmm.
That's worth listening to.
Yeah.
Right? And because, like, when you ask people like that, like our atheist friends, and they're like, why don't you like that? Well, I don't like what Christians stand for. So you do like the message. You're just being a dick.
Yeah.
You don't like the rapper that
I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that with Muslims, mm-hmm. like people are like, Muslims are the worst. They're so violent. They're blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't listen to the message. Like, if you listen to the message, mm-hmm. if you read the Quran, it's amazing. The message is so good. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're
and there may be some things that you don't like in it. Just like the Bible, just like in anything really. I mean, anyone could nitpick and find something like, oh well, this thing I don't like.
Yes. And here is whenever this happens, and the example you started with, my Christianity, my Muslim example, it all reminds me of a classmate we had in high school. And this has stuck with me since mm-hmm. high school and / college. They refused to use their turn signal. And I'm like, why don't you use your turn signal? You're being a dick. Like, use your mm-hmm. turn signal. Let people know that you're merging or you're going. He's like, I don't use my turn signal and I'm never going to. I'm like, why? And he goes, because other people use it wrong. I'm like, they use it wrong.
This memory is gone from me. I don't know either. I mean, I'm sure I know who it is, but
do you? I'll give you one guess.
I think I would know who it is, but I wouldn't want to guess that person.
Oh, I'll say his name. I don't care. The question is, do you have the guess?
The person who I can't remember if they use their turn signal or not, but I have a guess. And they may have a wife who listens.
No, it was Cameron.
No, it's not that.
Cameron Kennedy.
Okay, I didn't ride with Cameron that much.
It was a discussion.
Because we were in the same group.
No, it was a discussion. It was like a discussion at school and stuff. And he was like, I don't do it. And I don't do it because other people don't use it the way they're supposed to. Okay.
Yeah, I picture Chuck as a better driver than that, but I couldn't remember it.
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So you agree with the premise of the turn signal? Yes. And you agree with the message of the turn signal? Yes. But you're not going to use it? No. Why? Because I'm mad that other people don't follow the message.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that is like a great example for how people treat religion when they're atheists. I love the message. I agree with the message. But I don't like how they do the message. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, then. So that's my turn signal.
Wow, no, I don't remember that at all.
Yes, he used to say that, and I was like, you're so dumb. You're so dumb. Other people don't use their turn signal, so I won't use mine. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I remember, will you remember Pastor Steve?
I do. I do.
All right, and it's funny. Pastor Steve had a sermon once that was talking about turn signals,
Oh,
and then I forget how he related it to your beliefs, but talking about like it's not for you. The turn signal's not for you. You know where you're going. Like it's for everyone else to know what's going on. And I forget how he related it, but I remember it was a turn signal.
so I've
Sermon.
started having the talk with Cal, right? Just
Mhm.
recently. Like I've done it a little bit before, but recently when he's been a little a-hole or something, I sit there and
Mhm.
I'm like, Cal, it's not about you. This
Mhm.
day is not about you. This day is about Ava. This is about
Mhm.
this person. You need to stop trying to be a little dick. It's not about you. Stop making it about you. Well, I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm cranky. Yes, I know. And I feel those big feelings.
Mhm.
But it's not about you today. So suck it up. We'll get some food. We'll get some sleep. But
Mhm.
don't make today about you. Don't make people remember that you're a little poop. Be good. It's about
Yeah,
them, right?
they're good conversations.
Well, and that's the turn signal, right? Like, it's not about
Mhm.
you. It's the mask, right? So many people with the masks were like, it's not about you with the mask. It's about
Yeah.
everybody else. Cal today, I'm like, hey, let's go do this. He's like, well, I think I'd have to wear a mask. I'm like, why? Well, I've got a low grade fever. I'm not feeling well. And I don't want other people to get sick. And I'm like, that's the kid I want to raise.
Mhm.
Right? He's not caring about wearing a mask on a hot day. He's not
Mhm.
caring about whether he's going to get sick. He's literally thinking, I'm going to be seeing people and I don't want them to get my sickness. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm like,
Mhm.
buddy, you're too short. You don't have to wear a mask. You're not going to get anybody sick today.
I actually
He's
thought
like,
I
okay.
thought with all the COVID and the masks that we as a society would adopt it more like you see in China,
Yeah.
like see in other places. When people are sick,
Yes.
they wear a mask when they go outside.
Yeah.
But we
We
didn't.
we see it a lot up here.
Do you? Awesome. I
So
live in a different kind of state.
yeah, and it's not like everybody, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I will regularly see two or three people wearing a mask, and
No, it's a lot more than pre-COVID.
I'm like, that's awesome. Like, and I look at them and think, oh, they're sick. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know they're sick, and I'm
Yeah.
actually like, thank you so much, because if you didn't do that, I wouldn't know until I was shaking your hand and saying, hey, how's it going? And then you coughed, and I'd be like, dang it.
Yeah.
Right? Now I see you and I'm like, sweet. Hope you feel better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you're still living your life and trying to not get everybody else sick.
Yeah.
Now, I thought I would wear a mask more in the fall after
Mm-hmm.
COVID because I had like no allergies during COVID. I was like, I'm going to go back to that. But I didn't, and I just suffered through my allergies.
Mm-hmm. I started taking an allergy pill and taking a little pill every day. It's been wonderful.
Nice. I did
It's
wear my mask two or
better
three
than my
times
nose
this
one.
winter. There
Yeah.
were two or three times I was sick and I'd wear it. One time I had COVID, which,
Mm-hmm.
is not as big of a thing now, but I still wore it.
Yeah.
But I went through, it was during wrestling, and I went through like 5 masks a day
Oh.
because I'd be trying to yell and then I'd be like
Mm-hmm.
ripping them off, yelling, and I would just shred them. So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
and people would like come and give me a new one. I'd put it on, rip it off, put it back on.
That's hilarious.
It is what it is. Yeah, but anything else? Anything else coming up?
No, those were the big things.
Do you have any big
We
plans
talked.
for next week? The 4th is next week.
No, well, actually, yeah, because we weren't able to do extra fun stuff on Father's Day. Tristan was at the ocean, so we are going to the indoor skydiving place
Oh, amazing.
on Saturday.
Deanna just went there.
Did she? I missed that.
Oh,
Was she there for her birthday?
her and the girl went there, I think.
Okay.
Her and her
Yeah,
little
Deanna's
girl.
birthday was this last week. But yeah, we're going 4th. Was that the 5th? The 4th is Thursday. Yeah, so whatever the Saturday is. So we're excited. We're going as a family. And actually, it was from Christmas 2 years ago. Santa brought us family deal, and we just never went. So it's like, okay. And I was like, what? Gina and I were talking. I'm like, this would be super fun to do. And so we're celebrating Father's Day.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you get to do that. We're going to the Big Lake, so we're going to spend a week on the Big Lake.
I was eyeing. I had the website open Thursday when you were talking about it. I was really considering it.
It's going to be an awesome time, I think. And Amy actually has surgery Friday, and she's like, it's going to actually be a real vacation for me because I'm not going to be allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's the first time. It's good for you. So
we hope that she heals up well and everything. Yeah.
So anyway,
I know I was really considering it, but I'd forgotten about the other stuff.
Well, don't worry, people. Like last year, I'm right next to where I was last year, by the way. So you guys will get to see the same view as last year. You can compare it last year to this year. So,
oh, there you go.
Right, that'll be awesome. But yeah, hopefully I get a good signal and I'm not having to go like to a Starbucks or something.
Yeah, but we haven't heard an update on the camping trip from you. So we're hoping that we'll be able to record live there.
I just said we'd be able to record at the camping trip.
The other camping trip.
Oh, the other one.
The winter camping in July.
The winter camping in July, yeah. We haven't talked about that. That's going to have to be the next episode where we'll talk about that. Yeah, I don't know. Amy and I think I have to go. But have to is always a bad word with me, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know why it would be a have to.
Because it's like a once in a lifetime cool thing.
So we know that I have very few regrets.
Yeah.
And I can't remember all the circumstances surrounding it, but I was not able to go with you and Jamie out west.
Yes, yes.
And that's something I've still never been to those states. And that's something I wish I would have done. I think it was when I first started doing shows. So I was unsure. I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but that's the thing that I was like.
I can't pull up my calendar, but I'm pretty sure I have something on my calendar every day starting the 17th.
Awesome.
Of July.
Well, you can't go to that conference now, so you're good.
Yeah, so the conference was going to be worked around all of the other stuff too. And so now I'm like, I don't know how to work. So it's canceling everything. The 17th, I don't think I can cancel. That's a dentist appointment, and I probably should go to that. But that means I'm going to have to cancel everything else, which, honestly, going camping is probably more important than all the others. But I need to sit down and go through all the others and make sure I'm not going to screw myself with missing any of them.
That gives you a week and then something for us to talk about next week.
Heck yeah, it gives us time. And how you prioritize when you have 1,000 things to do. How do you prioritize which things to do? So
I found my sleeping bag and my hammock, so it's real.
Oh my gosh, it's so real. Well, you bought a plane ticket. I think it was real as soon as you bought a plane ticket.
I don't have a plane ticket home yet, so I got to figure that out.
You don't need one home. You only need one there. You don't know if you're going to make it through the camping trip. My wife she thinks it's going to be amazing and awesome and definitely thinks I should go, but she's super worried that it's the four of us. So, you guys make bad decisions.
I can kind of see that, but honestly, we're going to be in the middle of nowhere.
That's my goal, but then she reminded me that I do really dumb stuff in the middle of nowhere, too.
Oh, okay, do you?
Which is true, yeah. She's seen me, ice skate down glaciers to the edge of a precipice.
Oh, so that kind of dumb stuff.
She's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So she's not wrong.
Yes. Well, there definitely be. We're in the mountains, so definitely.
Oh yeah, lots of opportunities for me to hurt myself, for sure, or hurt one of you guys. So, lots of opportunities.
We'd still like you to go. Yeah, I know Jesse was like, Brian has to go, but then he's using that word again.
So. Oh yeah. No, but yeah, we've been talking about it a lot. So I definitely have the full blessing. It's just making sure everything gets cleared off the calendar. before I go. So that's all. And on that note, friends, I think we've talked at you long enough. So I think we need to wrap it up. Hopefully you guys all have a great week. Shoot us some comments. Shoot us some love. Give us some likes. Buy our journal. All the good stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy your 4th of July if you don't listen to us before then. So anyway, this is Ballbuster signing off.
Jokes of Dragons here. Love you all.